When it comes to bacteria in your gut, you've heard about probiotics, prebiotics, and even postbiotics. But have you heard about psychobiotics, or bacteria that affects the way you feel? We know that stress can mess up your immune system, your digestion, and even your cardiovascular system. And I bet most of you have felt the impact it has on your mental health. Wouldn't it be nice if you just had a stress off switch? Well, I believe research has found one. And joining me again is Joanie Blaxter from the company Just Thrive, and she's here to share some exciting information about how to turn off that stress switch. Welcome to the show, Joanie.
Good to see you again, Bryan.
Good to see you too. I'm glad you're back. I wanted to bring you back because of some new information I just learned about. It may not be a new product for your company, but it definitely was new for me to hear about some research that just came out. And it really has to do with stress, right? How stress impacts our immune system, our cardiovascular, our digestive. We know all of that. But more importantly, it's about how it affects our mental health. And that's why I wanted to bring you back on the podcast today to really go over this new information that I just learned about. And I would love for you to share it to my viewers so they can hear about it just as well. So let's start with the term psychobiotic. We've heard about prebiotics, probiotics, and now this new term psychobiotic. I want you to let's define what that is, because that was new for a lot of people as well.
So it's actually exactly the way it sounds. It is a probiotic strain that brings psychological benefit. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what and by the way, Just Calm actually is our newest product because it is based on radically new science. The formula is built around a single strain called Bifido Longum 1714. And by the way, when you see the numbers or some kind of identifier at the end of a strain, what that tells you is a researcher somewhere has gotten that strain from the wild strain databank. So they've gotten the original wild natural version, and then they've enhanced it somehow in their laboratory and hopefully done peer-reviewed published clinical testing on it, because that way you can take the name of that strain and look it up online and read the studies.
Oh, so that's perfect.
Bifido Longum 1714. Bifido Longum has been around for forever in our industry, but 1714 is brand new. It is straight from the premier laboratory in the world for studying the link between gut bacteria and mental and emotional conditions. What they did for many years was get samples from the intestines of folks who had no known sleep problems, no known mood disorders. These were like happy people. And then they analyzed the contents of their guts, and what they found was that consistently these people had high levels of a compound. Here's a long one. Extracellular polysaccharide peptidoglycan.
Oh, my goodness.
From here on out, I'm going to refer to it as the compound. Okay.
That sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Right. So there are some beneficial bacteria. They're living in our gut, and they make this compound, and then they store it in their exterior cellular wall. Not all good bacteria make it. Not all good bacteria make it in the same degree as other strains. Not even all Bifido Longum strains make that particular compound. When these researchers at this lab studied and isolated this compound as basically being a stress mediator, they then developed the Bifido Longum 1714 strain. And we know from this particular strain in the mood support probiotic category has been more studied than any other strain. It has 3 published clinical human trials. And I just found out recently, I used to think it was 2 animal. It is in fact 4 published animal studies. So that's a total of 7.
Wow. all over this strain, which is just awesome because the way I was reading some of the research, we talk about cortisol all the time, about the impact
Yeah,
that stress hormone cortisol has on our body for, helping us get us in fight or flight. And I know what they're finding in the research, that some of us are stuck in that fight or flight and can't get out of it. That
yeah,
switch is sort of turned on constantly, right? And this strain is apparently helping to turn that switch back off to get back into the
exactly.
parasympathetic state, correct? Is that the way I
Yeah.
read it?
Yes. Yes. Can I give you an analogy?
Please.
So I like to think of my body as like a huge urban area, and there are workers all over this city here. The highest number of these municipal workers are all located in our gut. That's why the gut microbiome is so important. There is a super information highway that connects your gut to your brain and back down to your gut, called the gut brain axis, or the GBA. And interestingly, there's actually more neural messaging that goes from the gut up to your brain than from your brain down to your gut.
Wow.
And that's because we now understand that the bacteria are functioning in our body like municipal workers. They're the ones that get all the work done. So they're constantly talking to City Hall, which is the brain, and saying, okay, here's an update, here's another update, here's another, right? And when something stressful happens to us, like say you get in a car accident, okay, a minor, a fender bender. So that generates a stress message. The brain sends it all the way down to the gut. Now, if you have enough of the correct kind of beneficial bacteria, and in particular, we know the Bifido Longum 1714 makes really high amounts of that compound, then when you've got lots and lots of extracellular peptidoglycan, polysaccharide peptidoglycan,
Yes.
it's like you have a wall in your gut. So the stress message goes down to your gut, and that compound stops it in its tracks.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you don't have enough of those bacteria, and consequently low levels of that compound, the stress message comes in and then goes right back out the back door. And furthermore, when that happens, it's actually more exaggerated because it picks up the distortion and the dysfunction that you've got going on in your gut. And so then that even more distorted message goes back up, and then it's an endless cycle. And this
The
is how
vicious cycle
yeah,
continues.
we
Yeah.
wind up with not being able to stop the thoughts and so on. And I think the sentence that I heard Kieran Krishnan, the research microbiologist behind Just Thrive, say that really brought this home for me was the reason we have had such spectacular lack of success with the mental health field creating interventions, and those could be pharmaceutical interventions or they could be technological, but none of them work very well for mood and mental disorders in the long term. The reason is we've always been focused on the wrong organ.
That's
We've been
right. We're not looking
focused
at the
on
gut.
changing the brain, right? We need to change the gut.
I totally agree. And that's why I think this research is just fascinating. Everybody needs to hear about this because I think this is a big leap forward for mental health. Not just,
Huge.
we're not talking about just Alzheimer's and dementia and so forth,
Mhm.
but we're just talking about even depression and mood swings and ups and
Yeah.
downs on how stress impacts each and every one of us a little differently. So I think this finding is just incredible. I am very excited about carrying this product and seeing how it's going to help some of those clients because we understand, you and I, and the people listening, I'm sure do too, that how important gut-brain connection is. We got to get our gut in order to help with our mental health. And this finding is just incredible. So I'm definitely glad you're bringing this to us today. So
Good.
cortisol, tell me, as far as the research, you said there were 4 animal studies done on the research with that?
Yeah, two of them I've not seen yet, but two of them I
Okay.
have.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing more and more things coming out. So, I mean, who needs this product? Can all of us just start taking it and hopefully feeling better? Or what groups are we really focused on?
Well, certainly anybody who identifies as having any kind of degree of anxiety or depression. Now, we do qualify that this product targets folks that are still functioning You
Yeah.
know, so somebody who is really dysfunctional is going to need additional support.
Sure.
The category of customer that gets me really excited about Just Calm is to be pregnant and or pregnant moms.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because the
Definitely.
compound that these bacteria carry down to our gut is critical to that developing baby's nervous system and brain. It makes
Mhm.
for lifelong positive impacts for that child.
Exactly. And another very fascinating thing that I found in the research, or at least heard about through your research or microbiologist, long haulers COVID.
I know,
Tell
is
me the
that exciting?
association of that. I think that is so exciting because people are looking for help with that area. So tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about
so
that.
here you've got mood disorders over here and then long haulers syndrome over here. What's the link? It
Uh-huh.
turns out that this single bacteria has has anti-inflammatory characteristics. And that's the link between those two conditions is a state of inflammation in the body that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, exactly. That switch never turned off. And so you get this constant inflammation burden going on, and people are walking around sort of inflamed in many ways because of what the virus did, or really any
Exactly.
stress.
Yeah.
It could be anything that triggers it. But in this case, we're talking about the findings with long haulers when dealing with COVID or the virus. I think this is fascinating information. So we've all been looking for some help when it comes to our hair loss or sleep issues or the depression that may be associated since we've contacted the virus at one time or another. So I think
Mhm.
this is great information that people definitely need to know about.
Yeah.
Was there anything else to add to that you know about?
Well, what it's making me remember is that we do, there is a very strong gut microbiome dysfunctional link with autism.
Hmm. Hmm.
So these kids that wind up with autistic symptoms typically have very dysfunctional gut microbiomes. And again, it's a similar anti-inflammatory link. And we have some very grateful moms. That's all I'm going to say
Yeah, I'm
about that.
sure. I'm sure it's really making an impact. I mean, I
Hmm.
can see this type of strain. I know it's still kind of early in the research to some degree, but I think this type of strain would enhance a lot of different things, whether they're on certain medications for mental health or anything else. It can only benefit what they're already doing and making things better. So to
Well,
me,
we
it's
we do know that it is natural to the gut.
yes.
The research is still ongoing about all the different areas that it may link up and apply towards.
Hmm.
But it is, it's the compound that they have identified as being common to people who are just naturally happy.
That's right, exactly. So we're going to see a lot of benefits with mood disorders and so forth with
Mm.
this too. And so I'm very excited about it. The product is called Just Calm by Just Thrive. So I know you also added a few other ingredients to it. I think it was folate, B12, and B6. Am I
Yeah, and
correct?
can I also say that what's unique to Just Calm is that it has actually 3 times the dose that was shown in those clinical
Ah,
studies that I mentioned to be effective. So it is
okay.
a powerful dose.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's I- it's done. I have noticed a difference in terms of my sleeping.
Sleeping issues. Wow, that's
Yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
great. So how many capsules do you take a day?
I started out at 1. I take 2 now just because since I learned about the long haulers, I was like,
Hmm.
well,
I know.
want extra protection. I
Yes.
double up on my spore probiotic for the same reason, so why not?
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
it's as I said, it's done wonders for my sleep and my rest, which in turn, of course, does wonders for your emotional state where you can stay steady on and you can concentrate better. So I was
That's
like,
right.
well, why not?
Well, you mentioned a spore biotic, so you're talking about taking a spore biotic with this product?
Yes, and for anybody who is really looking to impact a mood issue, I would encourage them actually to start with the spore probiotic first. There's 4 strains in that formula, and the reason it's the place to start is because those bacteria will go down and recondition your gut. And then once that's happened, and your gut wall has sealed itself a bit better, then hopefully also your microvilli, which are those finger-like projections on the inside of your small intestines through which you absorb virtually all your nutrients, hopefully those have then also had a chance to get longer and stronger. So you're absorbing your nutrients better. And then add in the Just Calm. The way the Spore probiotic can address stress levels is it has been shown to reduce the level of toxins in the body by 42%, and that was just in 30 days.
It's huge.
It's enormous. So when your toxin level goes down in your bloodstream, you don't have such a high bodily inflammatory load, which can be potentially affecting your brain and your nervous system. So that's one way that people can get a mood or anxiety response. The other way has to do with that mechanism that I described earlier, with the neural messaging going from the brain down to the gut, and you use this bacteria that produces this compound that acts like a wall. It's literally like building a wall between you and stress. It's wonderful. Bang,
Yep.
and there it goes.
Exactly. Like having an off switch. When stress happens, you just turn it right back off. And that's what's really perfect about this strain. Very, very cool.
So the double support of lowering your toxins and then increasing this beneficial compound is going to give you peak results.
That's right, which means it can help people with leaky gut or a lot of IBS type issues for sure. And for those of you listening, I did a podcast with Joanie over this topic over the Spore biotics. So you need to go check that out to get more information about Spore biotics, because that's a whole new field and world in itself too as well. And Joanie did a great job explaining that. So this is a very big finding as far as bacteria strains go for helping with mental health. And I think this is just awesome information. And you added the B12 and folate to it as well.
We did.
Sort of help the methylation process. So I like that benefits.
B6, 9, and 12. And
That's
they're
right.
all in the methylated form, so they're appropriate for anyone with concerns about having the MTHFR gene.
Exactly, which makes it even better. So is there anybody who should not take this type of product, the Just Calm?
Wow, that's a great question. I haven't even thought of it because I think so. And I hear stories from people about bringing benefit.
I'm thinking everybody in the world needs it right now. That's for sure, with all the stress we're enduring and coming off COVID.
Certainly pregnant mommies. We don't have dosages for babies and children.
Okay.
So can't say. But on the other hand, children are developing their brains and their nervous systems, right?
It makes sense. It does.
And we do know that this compound is naturally found in the gut and hopefully at high levels. So that would have to be a decision made by a parent.
That's right. I understand that. But no, awesome product, Joanie. I'm very excited to get this out to people because I think this is going to be it's a game changer for so many people right now. I mean, we're all in need of a little bit more support to help with our stress levels. Cortisol is dominating a lot of us in many ways, and we need to try to control that mechanism better.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for being here today. That's some great information, and we definitely look forward to having talks about other products that Just Thrive has. And y'all are a great company, got some great research behind you, and you're a great educator, and I appreciate that, Joanie.
Thank you so much, Bryan. Very kind words. Thank you.
Take care. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healthy Approach podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you like this podcast and help us spread the word by rating and sharing with your friends and family. If you'd like to learn more about Just Calm product, go to sunflowershoppe.com. That's shop with 2 P's and an E, or visit us at one of our 2 locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.